How to score well in the PTE Speaking Retell Lecture. Welcome back, guys. This video focuses on a method you can use to score well in Retell Lecture part, plus some common mistakes made by students and tips on how you can improve. Guys, these are a few of my students who appeared for the IELTS and PTE exams recently. All of them scored well and most even surpassed their own expectations. Guys, you can do the same. All you have to do is contact me on my email and we can arrange personalized timings for your one-on-one classes for IELTS and PT. Contact me on my email, it's right here on the screen, and I'll see what I can do for you. Getting back to Retell Lecture. Guys, like I showed you in my last video on scoring well in described image. By the way, if you have not seen that, it is worth a watch. Take a look at it. It will benefit you and share it for the benefit of others as well. Guys, the speaking section is scored on basis of 3 parameters. Where the first one is content, that is what you speak. The second one is fluency, that is the flow you speak with. Remember from the last video, don't speed up your speech, don't slow it down. Speak at your normal pace like you speak your native language. And number 3 being pronunciation, the way you say your words. So content, fluency and pronunciation. These are the 3 things that they will be looking at before giving you the score in PTE Speaking. Now in Retell Lecture, guys, what happens is a lecture is played. While the lecture is being played, you can take notes, and after it ends, you get 10 seconds to prepare your answer. What you have to do is summarize the content of the lecture within 40 seconds, and in this case, just in Retell Lecture, you will be getting 5 marks. You may get 5 marks for content. You may score up to 5 marks in fluency, and you may score up to 5 marks in pronunciation. So 5 for content, 5 for fluency, 5 for pronunciation for Retell Lecture. And this is similar to described image, but it varies depending on the section you are attempting. It will be different for read aloud, repeat sentence, and answer short question as well. So the scores will depend on the question type you are attempting. 5 for content, 5 for fluency, 5 for pronunciation in Retell Lecture. I'll give you an analogy that explains Retell Lecture in simple form. So think of this. You are going to a class in the morning and your friend who is in the same class is not going to attend the class today. In the evening later, you're going to meet him and you have to explain the class to him in a short form. Now you do not mention each and every point, each and every topic of the class. You simply tell him what the main idea of the class was, what the main topics were covered in the class. So this is similar to what you have to do in Retell Lecture. Now guys, for this, the method I want you to learn, and I do mean learn, not memorize, not cram, but learn by practicing. This method has got 3 parts, where the first one is introduction, which is mentioning what the lecture is about. Second one is details, where you cover the main topics and only the main topics, not examples, not figures, not words, not numbers, just the main topics. Do not focus on examples or any other vague stuff, just the main idea. And number 3, conclusion, where you provide an overview of the lecture. So only 3 parts, guys: introduction, details, and conclusion. If you have seen my last video, this method is similar to what I showed you in the described image as well, but it is just a method which I derived from my experience. From teaching students, I've seen what is the best way they can remember what they have to do in the answer, and this is the one that I found. So just remember these 3 points: introduction, details, and conclusion. Now I'm going to demonstrate this method using an example, so bear with me. YouTube Retell Lecture Practice, and I'll go with the first one. I'm just taking my notes over here.
Stereotypes really are an example of categorization. Brains have evolved, human brains have evolved to be very rapid categorizers of things. It's what allows us to interact with our world so smoothly and effectively, right? So you can go into a room and see a chair for the first time, and you know that it's for sitting and not for eating or climbing because you identify it as a member of the category chair. Stereotypes are categories of people. And sometimes they're actually very helpful. So we have stereotypes of what police officers or librarians or nurses are like. And those stereotypes allow us to fill in the blanks a little bit and know, without even talking to a member of that profession, something about what their job is, how I'm supposed to interact with them, what it's reasonable to ask of them, how our interaction is probably going to go. The problem, of course, is that every stereotype is a generalization. That never applies completely accurately to any one person, and sometimes stereotypes are just flat out wrong. They're just absolutely unnecessarily negative and completely untrue.
In this lecture, speaker talks about stereotypes. According to the speaker, stereotypes are just an example of categorization of people. They can be helpful in identifying profession and the kind of interaction we could be having with people of those profession without even saying a single word. The only problem with stereotypes is generalization. Sometimes they can be inaccurate and wrong. So, to conclude, stereotypes can be helpful in some scenarios, whereas it could be problematic in the others. So guys, this was my answer for this lecture, and let me explain it to you. Now, in the introduction, I mentioned what the lecture is about, which was about stereotypes. In the details now, this is where students make the most mistakes, and I'll cover that in the common mistakes as well. They try to cover vague stuff, but over here, what you see is just the main topic. Remember, she was also talking about a chair in the lecture. You can go back in the video and play it from that point. The lecture also had some examples, and that is not something to be included in your answer. You only have to cover the main topic. Focus on the main topic, not the example, not the numbers, not the figures, not the dates, not the names, just the main idea of the lecture. And in the conclusion, the last part, I just gave a simple overview that the stereotypes could be helpful in some scenarios and they could be problematic in the others. So, this is it, guys. That's how you do it. Introduction, details, and conclusion. That's all you need to remember in the Retell lecture. Now, moving on to the common mistakes. The first one I observe that is very common among students is they try to write too much. Students focus on writing too much. They try to write the complete sentences. What ends up happening is that they write one line and the lecture is already halfway through. Now they only have one line to talk about, and it will not produce a good answer, and I know that from my experience. Guys, do not try to write everything. All you have to write is the main topics, like I did over here. I just wrote what the lecture is mainly about. Not the random stuff, not the other stuff, just the main topics. Just words that will give you an idea of what to talk about and expand on these words. So don't try to write lines, just write words and expand on them. The second one that I observe is that the answers are not relevant to the topic. They end up talking about random stuff which has got nothing to do with the lecture. So, guys, keep this in mind. Listen carefully to what the speaker is referring to in the lecture and take notes accordingly. You should not be speaking random stuff. Like, for example, I should not be saying random things about stereotypes. You only have to talk about the things that they actually spoke about in the lecture. Now, the tips that you can use to improve your score. Guys, the number one and the very obvious one is practice. Practice as much as you can. Attempt as many Retell lectures as you can. Listen to the lecture, take notes, record your answer, and compare it with the given answer. And don't just do this once. Listen to the same lecture 2, 3, 4, 5 times, as many times as it takes, and then compare it with the given answer. This will give you an idea, a kind of a measurement of how relevant your answer is to the main topic, or even if the answer is about the main topic in some scenarios. And number two, that I use quite regularly with my students is TED Talks. Open the website, it's simply TED.com, or download the app and listen to a talk of your interest. After listening, prepare a short summarized speech similar to what you would do in a Retell lecture. Record your answer and then compare it to the actual talk. This gives you the ability to measure how many main ideas you have covered, what you have missed, and how relevant your topic is to the actual talk. Guys, these are the two tips that I use mostly with my students, and they have worked beautifully. And I have no reason to believe they will not work for you. So guys, this is how you can attempt a Retell lecture. This video was a short one, but I tried to keep it short and sweet so you have a good idea after watching the video. Now, if you learned something new, please like and share the video. Subscribe to my channel, click on the bell icon so you do not miss another video in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching.